Okay, stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Minutes of March 16th, which you have in front of you. I didn't send them out. I forgot to. I can give you a fancy one. I'll take that. Okay. Anybody have anything on the minutes of March 16th? I did them quickly and I was half asleep last night, so. Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, recommendation on lifeguard hirings. Anybody have anything other than, I know you have some things, Barry?
Yeah.
You've talked to some people who have.
Yeah, I've received a number of phone calls. I did follow up with all of the individual entities that we discussed at the last meeting. The University of Massachusetts Dartmouth, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. We did have some interest from a couple of individuals, and some questions came up in regards to age. So for the state lifeguards, they only have to be 16 to be a lifeguard, but our requirement is 18. And some of the lifeguards would be 17 this summer, turning 18, and they're wondering if you can make any sort of, if we can allow that. I wasn't sure, so I figured we should bring it up.
I'm not sure about that, but I did speak to the town administrator, Jim Hartnett, regarding the pay and everything. We can't do anything about the pay this year
Okay.
because we'd have to go to the personnel board and then we have to go to town meeting
Sure.
technically to get it approved.
Do we have any control over the age, or does it have to go through the town and the Board of Selectmen?
Well, I don't know if it has to go, I
Officially.
guess that's a question for the administrator again, to see if it has to go through personnel board to see if that can change.
I told them to submit the application.
I would, yeah.
And then we could discuss it or come up with an answer for them, but at least the applications would be submitted.
Okay.
I've received a couple of calls too of how to go about it, so I've just referred them to the website right now, to the general application for a lifeguard, get them into Denise. That's what I told them. I said, I don't have any specifics right now, but if you get it in, at least we'll start.
I'm gonna reach out to Evan also, the head lifeguard last year, see if he has a list. I had a list somewhere and I don't know what to do with it, of the lifeguards to see who may or may not want to come back. That worked last year. We didn't have a real good success last year. Until August, we didn't have any lifeguards.
Could we make a preliminary motion that we would request that?
Yeah.
That they be lowered to 16?
Yeah, we can do that.
I think
I'll make that
with,
motion.
with that, I guess if it's under 18, the state requires a work permit. So
Okay.
they'd have to get the work permit, which I think is fairly easy.
Mhm.
They just get some paperwork and bring it to the school. And I think the superintendent signs off on it, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I saw Dana, the recreation director,
Mhm.
and she mentioned something that goes on at the high school in Dartmouth,
Yeah.
where they get kids that are,
Yeah.
sounded like
interesting.
they're young,
Yeah,
and there was a way that they were doing it through the schools
sure.
for their own
Well-
lifeguards.
Well, it was brought up to my attention that if we would want Dana to manage the schedule of the lifeguards, because it's kind of a full-time during the day thing.
Sure.
It's
yeah.
hard for anybody to do, who
Yeah.
is not actually here.
Yeah.
When that phone call comes in, somebody calls in sick or whatever,
Sure.
that we should request it from the selectmen, or put it in a request to selectmen to discuss it.
Okay.
I don't know if we want to do that.
I think we should. I
Okay.
mean, what would happen if, in the event she couldn't do that? Who would? be the administrator of.
Well, usually the head lifeguard was done that.
Yeah.
Evan did a wonderful job for the last, 6 or 7 years anyway, as head lifeguard. But he's not gonna be here, so it'd be somebody had to be in charge of, like,
Yeah.
making sure.
Yeah, your employees show up. And,
Well, it's also making, when there's dangerous
Sure.
situations,
Yeah,
making
yeah.
the call. Because they're supposed to call the town administrator, who calls police, fire, and
sure.
to let people know. So maybe we need to put a request in to sit down with the selectmen.
I think my concern would be we're getting close to
Yep.
summer. So
Yes,
if
we are.
We go another month, then we're at the end of May, and if we haven't resolved the issue by then, we're gonna have a tough time filling slots. I think another difficult thing that we're up against is the state is offering more money, obviously, and they're offering the bonus. So at least if we can compete with them in terms of age, I think that would go a long way.
Okay. Anybody else have anything about lifeguards? Okay. Next item is the town clerk. We have over 2,000 beach passes sold,
Wow.
which is way ahead of what we usually do at this time.
Yeah, she texted me right before I left. She was here late, so let me. Yeah. Plus, she's got over 200 on her desk.
Yeah. And I don't know if it's because the
Holy
weather has just been so good
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
year
2,040
or,
2,044 and a couple hundred more in progress.
yeah,
Yeah, well,
which is kind of strange for this early. It's only April.
Mhm.
But I think, well, the 200, I think last week's weather kicked everybody into like, oh, gotta get my beach pass.
mhm.
And then this next couple of weeks now, it's 40, it'll be 30 degrees at night, 45 during the day. It'll be
Yeah.
slow down again, but it is unusual to have that many beach passes.
Plus, I think in speaking with people, I think people are a little more proactive, like, they're
Well-
more proactive. They're like,
Yeah.
we're gonna get it in the beginning and
That's
then we're
the
not waiting till, when we wanna go.
We do have a problem because she's the only one in the office doing it also, and she also has to do other town clerk duties. So I don't know what's gonna happen for an assistant, I don't know if you
Her
know.
assistant, the position got posted yesterday.
Okay. Be interested to see who applies. Okay, purchase report. I am reporting that I went to the highway department to acquire the, whatever you want to call it, dune buggy, gator, whatever, and the sign for that we borrowed from the Board of Health last year. We're going to get our own sign. So that's in the works, and hopefully that'll be in next month or so.
The highway department will be making the sign for us.
No, it's a light up sign.
It's gonna be one of those lit up signs, one of those flashing, that seemed to be very effective. Well,
Okay.
to people who actually pay attention, it seemed to be very effective because it's right there. When you drive down the road, you see the whole length of the road, big sign flashing, beach closed to 8 PM, seat
Okay.
passes required, that kind of thing, so.
Yeah, the town meeting is on the Board of Health one now, but Matt did mention to me that after the town meeting, the beach would probably be asking us for the sign again, so.
No. Well, because if there's an emergency, he needs the sign.
Right.
You can't have it both ways, and we have some money to spend regarding that. So hopefully that'll be in shortly. I don't know how long it takes the paperwork to clear. That's I should have got it started a month ago, but I just got it started recently. So. Which brings us to, there's two things. There's going to be some unanticipated issues, so I'll go with that. Unanticipated issues. First one is a request. Do you have that, Neil? Thank you. A request from someone to do a film shoot at the Nubble. And they say it's only for a few hours, but they want to bring in a porta-john. And the question I came up with is, it is a town beach for 100 feet, but I think most of what they want to do is on the Nubble and Land Trust property. So I think we should forward this to,
Federal property.
yeah, I would think that most of it would be on the land trust property, let's put it that way.
Well, that's the only flat area.
Yeah, so I don't know, so we should forward that to them, but I don't know if we need to make a recommendation because to the selectmen, whether we think it's a good idea for this to happen.
What's this?
They're
I don't know this woman who's making the request, and I don't even know if she's a town
Does it have a date?
citizen.
Date?
It says later this month.
She's not from town. When she called me, she was under the impression that that was a public beach. So she's not
Isn't everybody?
from town, so she was surprised, like, she was a little bit surprised, but I do think it did come up a couple of years ago,
Yes, and we denied it.
and it was denied, but it also then, she brought it up, I guess she said again last year, but then something happened and she wasn't able to get the dancers or something, so she never followed.
Well,
through with it.
there was a movie there 10 years ago. Somebody
Mhm.
was filming something on
Yeah.
the beach. So it's been done,
But the question,
but the land trust would have to give them permission to put a porta-john on the property.
I imagine the porta john would probably be on the actual town road if they were gonna put it there.
Well,
I would be
then
thinking,
we'd
but
have to.
But I don't know if we need to make a
Highway
rec-
department would have to approve that.
do we wanna make a recommendation to the selectmen regarding, it gets into this thing with commercial use of the beaches. Like if somebody is profiting off the beach,
Oh,
should we get a cut? Because it happens a lot. The number of wedding shoots, birthing shoots, christening shoots, family shoots I see at the beach is staggering on a weekly basis. At Cherry and Webb,
Yeah, but the land trust has no,
no.
they
They-
are unable to exclude anyone. from-
Right. But then the question comes down to, of course, the parking. The parking is on the town road
Well,
and
that's
you
the
need a beach
question.
pass.
That's the other question.
Yeah, so I don't know if we need, or we want to make any kind of recommendation or suggestion, or somebody wants to make a motion along that line.
I would think, for any request, we would probably need more details than just, we want to
Yeah.
do a photo shoot.
6,000 people show
Yeah,
up.
it could be anything, but outside of that, there should probably be a process in place that if somebody does submit a proposal to do something on the beach, then they have to follow this process, and if they follow it, then it's either approved or denied.
My experience with state parks
Yeah,
is you have to submit an application,
Yeah,
within, a certain time frame before, and it has to be approved. And
Yeah.
there's certain, depending on what the
Certificate of
activity is.
liability, right?
yeah.
Yeah, depending on what the activity is, they require liability insurance, and, suppose somebody falls off the Nubble,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
yeah.
which could easily happen.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know.
Or they could be, who knows what they're filming down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, exactly,
Uh,
so the question is, does that get required?
Yeah, I would say you need more details to make any sort
Yeah,
of recommendation.
numbers of vehicles and people, I mean, if they can park somewhere else and bring everyone in a van, that would be.
Yeah.
something.
And it depends on when it is too. They say late, she says later this month, I don't know what that means.
Well,
But if you were later this month, last Friday, when it was 85 degrees, there was
Yeah.
a lot of people milling about, so.
If we were to put a process in place, is that something that the selectmen do, the town administrator, or is that something we suggest?
We advise as to
Yeah,
the selectmen as to what we think is a good idea
yeah,
or a bad idea.
mhm,
The selectmen have ultimate say over town property.
yeah. I would say with this one, we would need more details, but I would recommend to the selectmen
Yeah.
that we put together a process, or that makes sense for every applicant, that way we're not
Yeah, I
just.
think in principle, I mean, I have no objection in
Yeah.
principle.
No, but it's true that, they're coming down with 1,000 people or 10,
Yeah, yeah,
because we don't know. Because if they come down with 1,000, that's gonna be a problem.
mm,
Yeah, and we had, there was a guy, a few years ago, somebody came to Charlton Dock, and he wanted to put some sculptures on the beach, and, set them up for a day or a couple of days, they would shoot, take a photograph of it, it was an art school project. And these were really heavy, they were cement.
Concrete stuff, yeah.
And they backed a truck in over the dunes, and it took 2 years
Yeah,
for that to get better.
yeah.
And it was just.
I guess more details are required.
And so that's the kind of thing that happens. And it's all the best intentions. And
Okay.
But it made a mess. really.
I bet they're really nice.
Yeah, I mean, we get wedding requests all the time,
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 a year, I'm thinking. And they're usually not a problem, either at both Beach Avenue and Cherry and Webb. And they're usually okay, you know, 'cause
I was married on the beach, one over at the Mullen, so.
oh yeah, a private beach, like,
Yeah.
you know, but I mean, but even
I'm
at
partial
the
to
private
those.
beaches, they were requesting use of the parking lot just because
Yeah.
parking is a premium
Yeah.
down there,
I think
obviously.
we had a bus, so we brought them to there and then they went in. But it was a private beach. It was a beautiful ceremony, you know?
Sure was.
So, yeah, I'm certainly not opposed to people doing things on the beach, but I think we need a process in order to do so, and they need to make sure that, you know, the public safety and all of those
Yeah.
other factors are properly taken care of. Like you brought up the porta-john and where it goes and the road, and
Yeah.
then you get into
And then do they leave it there, they go down on a Friday night and then it's there all weekend or all
Yeah.
week?
Whose
They come back in a month,
responsibility?
you
Yeah.
know, later, you know,
Yeah.
and it hasn't been cleaned in a month and, yeah, those are all good points. So that's what I'll contact, this woman and go from there.
So do we
Okay.
tell her we need more details?
Yeah, I think
And,
that's something we need.
And,
Do
and
you want to take this so you have it in your email address?
I think I have it. I'm pretty sure, now that you remind me, but I thought she sent another one, that was a while ago.
then,
So-
in terms of the process moving forward, is it something that we put together as a group? Do we say, okay, in moving forward, do they need to provide us with?
I can
certain
tell you,
information?
we could just steal the state form.
Yeah.
Because the state form is, I don't want to say detailed, but it has, you know,
Yeah.
basically all the boxes to check to, you know, like a check,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, there's a
Is this-
release, you have to sign a release or something.
Yeah.
like that.
But it should be improved. I mean, you know, and it depends on who we're gonna ask to do that.
Yeah. Is that do we bring it up to the selectmen and say, we think a process should be put in place?
I think it would, because obviously
Yeah.
I think it's gonna happen more and more and more.
Yeah,
I mean, I've seen, what was last year's? In the middle of the parking lot, they set up a volleyball net in the middle of the Kitty Beach parking lot. There was this Sweet 16 birthday party. It was like 30, 16-year-old girls. And it was like, well, I'm closing up the gate, so you're gonna have to leave, but,
Yeah.
you know. But again, same thing, if somebody falls and breaks an ankle,
Yeah.
what happens, you know? So, okay. Maybe that's part of the request to the selectmen. There's only one other unanticipated, correct? And we have to go to executive session, possibly? Okay,
That's what you want to do?
okay. Let's go to member input. Do we have any member input? I'll start with Woody.
Not today.
Okay.
No, everything cleaned up Beach Avenue, plowed it out. And for some reason, they blocked it up, they plowed it and then they blocked the end.
Or they were gonna put the,
What was going
they
on?
put the mats down. I know they put the mats down for the handicap access, and actually they're working real well right now. Martin has been down there on a couple
Okay,
occasions
well,
and gotten out and made sure it's wheelchair
A week or so,
friendly.
a week ago, there was.
That's about what they-
Blocked off the last 100 feet.
Yeah, I think that's when they did it, because I think they wanted to,
And is
Didn't
that
want-
in the road?
it's right at the end at the handicap parking
Yeah,
area,
okay.
right next to it.
And because the grade from there up over to the ocean is changed a little bit.
Well, it changed again.
Yeah. well,
I was down there and it was very high,
Pretty
and
high.
now it's gotten lower.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know.
Because it would have been almost impossible to make that.
Yeah, there's actually a nice little path along the rock that you can actually get walk there fairly easily.
It's- Okay.
But Martin
Yeah,
Costa
you
has
can
been.
walk there, but I don't know where the mats would work.
The,
So it was-
the mats seem to be perfect, but I don't know if there's gonna be washout. I mean, we always fear of that anyway,
Well,
so.
it's beyond storms. Should be all right from
Yeah.
now on.
Okay, Harry,
No, I think we touched on everything regarding the lifeguards. I did follow up with all of the locations that were offering it. It seems like the Red Cross in Taunton and Attleboro, they have a, course that goes on every month. So if there are anyone who's interested can go there and get certified, and it seems like we have positions available. There was some interest, like I said, that I knew about. I think the age thing is something that we should consider. I know when I joined the committee last year, it seemed like there was some folks that came in and there was it was a big deal with the walkway down to Cherry and Webb. So as we get closer
Too
to
much sand
summer,
on the beach.
I don't
yeah.
know how you guys have dealt with it in the past.
Well,
but-
we have the highway department go down at the end of May before
Yeah.
Memorial Day to clean it out, because you clean it out too early, you get
Then it
a
comes
windstorm and
back.
it blows
Yeah,
right in and you're
yeah.
doing it again. Plus you kind of have to watch out, because you have to get Audubon down there to watch out for plovers.
Oh, yeah.
There was, I counted 12 on the beach last week at one walk.
Wow.
And they've got the far end cordoned off, they've got Mullins and some of the private beaches cordoned off
Yeah,
right now, so it depends on, because last year we had to do it real late because they had the end of the path
yeah,
flagged off for plovers, so we couldn't disturb them, so we can't send the front end loader down there.
sure.
So, and there was a lot of complaints about that, but there was really nothing we could do about it until they knew the birds weren't gonna
Yeah.
nest there. So hopefully, like I said, we do it at kind of like the beginning of official summer before Memorial Day, get
Yeah.
down there and just kind of
Level it out.
level it out and get down to the hard pan and stuff, so.
Sure.
Oh, I have just one item, old business, going back to this
Oh, okay.
driftwood on the beach.
Oh,
And I walked down almost to Town Beach from the far end, and all I saw was one huge log.
there were two at one time, and I said, because
Yeah,
after we
and
got the request, I was sure, and I'm not sure,
That sucker's not gonna go anywhere unless you get a
well, it's
crane.
pretty heavy. Well, that's why I think they wanted to get a vehicle on the beach,
Well,
because
huge.
that,
I mean, you couldn't-
yeah, you weren't dragging it down by yourself, that's for sure.
No one was gonna get that out there in a hurry.
Yeah, actually, it's become a nice seat for every time I go down there in the evening. It's become the seat to watch the waves come in at sunset.
Yeah,
So,
well, anyway, okay, well, that's all.
okay, Leon.
Actually, today I talked to Alan Bliss. He was inquiring about my own property, but I brought up our time would be the end of this month, I would request, and maybe have
We
one.
typically put the dumpster there at the beginning of May.
I'm talking about Flint
Oh.
Pest Control.
Oh no, it won't be for a while. It's going to be a problem early this year because it is getting warmer and it gets really wet.
Well, I was thinking at the end of May, but do you
Yeah.
think it should be before then?
We'll see. They were starting to
Right now, I'll
patch
leave it
last
at that.
week because it was so warm and it was so wet,
Really?
but it's gotten cool again, so I think it's,
Because I can get in touch with them again tomorrow. but I'll leave it at the end of May.
it was crowded last week. It hasn't been good crowded this week. That's what I've noticed. Last week, there were a lot of people. There were a lot of fires going on down there. That's one of the things, yeah. And some of in front of the private residence, they were parking in the town parking lot, but they were burning in front of the left
There was
side.
red flag warnings last week.
Yeah, and there were a couple of residents who were not pleased about that activity, and he went in late into the night. In fact, I locked 2 trucks in that I know, because they had the covers up and they had all kinds of logs in the back, and they busted the gate right off the hinges to get out.
Wow.
So,
I just rammed it.
no, I think they you can, if you work it hard
Oh,
enough,
okay,
those things
yeah.
will give, I think because it was laying in the road the next morning when I went down.
Have we reconsidered hiring somebody?
I think we need to figure what we can do for lifeguards, because I think for lack of lifeguards, we might just
Well,
need parking, we might just have parking attendants.
Yeah.
My fear is not having lifeguards all week, is the activities on the beach or nefarious activities on the beach will be more numerous than in past. We'll see how that goes.
So, once again, you want me to just leave it as I spoke to?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, we'll see. Paula?
The selectmen would like us to, the beach committee, go in front of them to fill them in on the lifeguard situation, the start of the season, what the plans are. So I'm forwarding that request, so I don't know if you want to try to get on me. Like Harry was saying,
Who's the
times-
chair now?
Mr. Brewer. Steve
They
Willett-
reorganized last night, so,
Steve
yeah.
Willett is vice chair.
Okay.
Um,
Shauna, Ann, and Manny, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So, and like Perry just said, time is,
Mm.
time, especially to talk about lifeguards and stuff. So we have May
Yeah.
1st, we have May 15th.
Well, we're gonna get the, we're gonna get, we're gonna get the ad on the scroll. So, but I don't know.
I reached out, I sent an email to a lot of the social media platforms with the ad that you ran on the scroll, but none of them put anything up. But there's, on Facebook, there's like the Cherry and Webb group and stuff, and I thought it would be a nice place for them to, you know, if they knew, if they go to the beach, maybe, you know, one of their
Well,
children or somebody wants.
Not to
Become a
disparage
lifeguard.
any group in particular or single out anybody, most of those groups are usually
Yeah.
formed to
Just-
complain.
Yeah,
To
come on.
complain about something.
Yeah, yeah. I figured I would preemptively reach out and tell them we're looking.
Injustice collectors.
Yeah,
Professionally offended.
yeah.
Okay.
But nobody responded or
Yeah,
posted anything.
it always worries me because there used to be a Nubble beach page and all, you know, that the
Yeah,
people who are looking for real information get onto these social media platforms
Yeah.
and they get
yeah,
misdirected, I guess, or
sure.
misdirection, one or the other. Okay, anybody else? Nothing? Okay, we're going to enter into executive session. So we have to close the doors and Valerie has to turn off the camera, so nobody has anything else. So what we can do is we can adjourn the regular meeting and then go into executive session. So I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Got a motion.
Okay, from Leon. Second?
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
7:41.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I need a motion to enter into executive session.
Got a motion.
A second?
Second. Roll call, though. You have to do roll
Right,
call.
yeah. So we need to do a roll call with stating your name and your vote. So, there's a motion by Leon, the second by Paula to enter an executive session.